Hello and welcome to Re-enthused. Today we are talking about, well, these guys right here. That's Magnetic Scrolls. Now, Magnetic Scrolls were a company formed in London in 1984 by Anita Sinclair, Ken Gordon and Hugh Steers. They specialised in text adventures and they released their very first game on the Sinclair QL, which was The Pawn, though it was later released on other 8 and 16-bit platforms. Right. Well, I think we'll go straight in with the games because they're. This is, I mean, the whole point of making this it wasn't really about Magnetic Scrolls as such. It was about Magnetic Scrolls games because I have a lot of good memories of those games. Yeah, they are text adventures, although with some graphics, generally just static though, not like the point and click adventures that came out later on. These were just parser based adventure games, although, yeah, they went slightly beyond standard parser games eventually. So, yeah, the first game they had released was The Pawn, and that's this one here. Now, it was first released on the QL. I don't have that version. It's pretty rare. This is the Atari ST version. Most of my versions are, in fact, the Atari ST. So, the thing about... Obviously, these are nice big box games, and The Pawn is more of a traditional... fantasy adventure game that we knew of, like the Big Cave Adventure and stuff like that. Yeah, so it came with like a poster. Barely get that in, it's quite a large poster. And Cypheric help section, so this had a bunch of hints and tips, but in the style of a story, which kind of you could read that through and you could work out some hints and tips. And then just standard user guides and gameplay guides, which just taught you how to use it. And obviously the floppy disk as well for the ST. So yeah, they followed the style of the big box games where they tend to include stuff in them. It was a nice era, and a lot of people prefer this era to later ones. So moving on to the Guild of Thieves. The Guild of Thieves. Again, it's another fantasy style one, but this one contains this. This is where they put things up a bit of a notch, and it contains what they call feelies, which was stuff that isn't really necessary for the game, but it kind of pertains to the game world. And there were hints and tips in some of this. Like this one is an actual guild of. Guild as a discrete entry and removals, Guild of Thieves. Contract of service, so it's basically your contract. There was a fake, there we go, fake newspaper pamphlet thing called What Burglar. Again, has lots of stories in there and hints and tips if you read through it. And then again, yeah, the standard adventure guide, but also this, which is a Bank of Cavonia, which is where the game is based. Basically credit card, I guess. Water Ego, Guild of Thieves, and a dice, which again is just stuff that pertains to the game, but it's got a blank side. Stuff that pertains to the game, but isn't necessary for the game. But yeah, you can get hints and tips from some of it. But they call them feelies because literally stuff that you could feel in the real world to connect you more to the game world, which is one of the things I genuinely loved about Magnetic Scrolls games. And also they were fantastic games as well. We will take a look at one later on, but we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, next is Jinxed Earth. So this came out in 1987, the same year as Guild of Thieves. The Pawn came out in 1985, by the way. I think I forgot to mention that. And this again has feelies, like there's a mouse map. It's also got a competition on the back. Slightly out of date, obviously. They're winning that. Again, the adventure guidebook. A memo in an envelope, which is quite interesting. So if we open that up, it's a couple of pages just of A4, but with fake coffee stains and writings in the margin and stuff. And it's just got really nice, like fake marks and stuff to make it look more realistic. And as you can see there, which will get out in a second after I put this back, and try and look after these quite well. We could just get this out. There we go. Yeah, another fake newspaper. This time much more convincing newspaper style. But yeah, so this is again just stuff pertaining to the game world, and there are some slight hints and tips if you read through it and you can find them. some more exacting hints, and again, yeah, the floppy disk, obviously. So as you can see, the Feely game kind of went up a notch at this point, and it kind of it goes up a bit further as well with the next one. So the next one is Corruption, which was released in 1988, and obviously you can kind of see as this based in the world of business, big business. And in here we've got things like there's a poker chip for 500. Ignore those. Those are what the person I bought it off put it in. They're kind of hints and tips. The Adventure Guide, as always. Then this is actually the manual, but it's done in the style of a filofax. You might remember filofaxes depending how old you are. But yeah, so it's kind of, again, all the hints are in there and stuff, and how to play the game. And then also, as you see, there's the floppy disk. There's also a tape. Now the tape doesn't have anything to do with the 8-bit machines. This has got snippets of conversation on it, and you're told during the game to play some, and it kind of acts as filler for the game when you play the little snippets of text. I don't think you have to. I think you can get away without doing that, but it's kind of cool. Again, so it just everything just goes up a notch. And then we come to Fish, and this will be the one that we actually play. This is in a slightly different box because this isn't the ST, this is the Archimedes version. And we'll be playing this one because I just happen to have the Archimedes out and ready. So, a bit of noise because it's... and so we don't have the box this time, we have a nice loud plastic thing. So again, there's the floppy disk for the Archimedes. How to look after your fish, which is... yeah. A guide to looking after fish. Fish is one of my favourite ones, by the way. Possibly actually my favourite. And it's about a secret agent that can kind of move into other bodies. And he happens to be in the body of a fish when you start, which is cool. So, yeah, so that's the mission guide. And it's got lots of information. And, again, tons of hints if you go through it. These, like, encoded hints and stuff in there. And then, again, another Feely is the fish identification chart, because you know, you're a fish, so know what other fish look like. Obviously, that's information. And finally, it's a travel card, very much for the Hydropolis Underground Omnibus Company. Easy to tell that they're a London-based company. Yeah, again, so Fish was released in 1988, and yeah, we'll be that's the game we'll be taking a quick look at. Only a quick look, because I think it's quite hard to make adventure games that interesting. Some people manage it, but not me. Yeah, the next game is Myth. I don't own that. It's really quite difficult to get hold of. That came out in 1989. It goes for a lot of money because it was a limited release game, so there weren't that many out there. And then kind of 1990 was really when it was all coming to a close. Text adventures weren't that important anymore. And they released Wonderland, which is a good game, but kind of it's not really to the length of the other ones were. Yeah, three or four discs. 4 discs. A nice big manual though. So, a very standard traditional manual, and a map, which again a lot of adventure, big adventures had. A quick reference guide, which is literally just a quick reference guide, and then a poster of the game, but it is just a single-sided poster of the game. And these are just how to get the game running. And problems if you haven't got a double-sided drive on the Atari ST, because you needed those to run the game. I do, but it's packed away. Otherwise, we would be playing that probably, because that's near the end. It was a much kind of bigger budget game compared to the others, just because Virgin had recently taken over publishing duties from Rainbird. So it was kind of, this is really the point where things were starting to wind down. Text adventures weren't as popular as they had been. People wanted more higher graphics, more action in their games. They worked with Infocom on attempting to make a sequel to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy game, which is kind of interesting. Invacom were really one of their big rivals, because Invacom obviously are pretty well known in the text adventure world themselves, and they were one of the big people that Magnetic Scrolls will be competing with when they enter the market. So the fact that we're going to work with them to try and make this sequel to Hitchhikers is a big thing. But it didn't go anywhere, again, because the market was winding down, really. They ended up being bought out in 1992 by Microprose. Their only real release before that point in 1991 was the collection of the first 3 games on Windows with a new Windows-based parser, which was, it wasn't a remaster or anything. It was literally just the parser made into Windows so it would run. And that was it. Effectively, they started to wind everything down at that point. Recently, in May 2017, a new company was started called Strand Games. That was started by Hugh Steers, one of the original Magnetic Scrolls founders. And their aim really is to recover the source code for the games, remaster them, and re-release them on other formats. So the games will be coming out again, and I kind of hope they'll be popular, because in terms of the contents of the game, they may not be like the highest technical art, but in terms of the story and the puzzles, they were always top notch. So it'll be good if they do come back. Right, anyway, we will give a shot at getting Fish to run. So I won't do much on it. It's a text adventure, and I don't think I can carry off a video on a text adventure, but we will see how it goes. So here we are in Fish on the Archimedes. It looks very, very text-based at the moment, but if we just keep this going, you'll hear some GoTek loading noise, because we're using the GoTek rather than the original disc. And we can see we now have some graphics. Not every version had the graphics. The Spectrum tended not to. In fact, a couple of the 8-bit versions tended not to, but the 16-bit versions all tended to have graphics. So yeah, this is what we got. They were quite nice for the time, and there were also sound effects and stuff as well, which was very different to text adventures. Right. So, Goldfish Bowl. Swimming upside down is good fun, but difficult, even for someone as highly trained as yourself. It looks like the pondweed is dangling from the gravel above your head, and the ant eggs, now upside down, they look so much like exactly the same as if you were the right way up, actually. Anyway, there's no need to get carried away. Sir Playfair has a message for you in the castle, if you're not mistaken. He hates agents who are late. Right, so I remember rightly, the first thing we have to do is turn the right way up. I don't remember how you do that. Oh, hello, not used to this keyboard. Yeah. Let's just turn around. Nope. Swim around. Nope. Rotate. Flip around. Okay, this is not a good start. Is there any help? Yeah. Hey, there we go. Right. The parser, was quite advanced for the time, but not perfect by any means. Right, so let's go in the castle. Let's look. I keep hitting the slash key because I'm not used to this keyboard that well. Alright, so we've got a smooth warp, a jagged warp, and a small warp. So let's smooth warp. There we go. So yeah, so we've now transmogrified into something else, but that's it. This is This is fish anyway. I won't do too much on it because it's a text adventure. I do recommend playing it. You can get them on several platforms now. I think even Android and maybe iOS have versions of it as well. And yeah, I do recommend them. When you get into the stories, they're very good, and there's quite a lot of humour in some of them, especially Fish. Fish has a lot of humour in it. So yeah, excellent. Right, so thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like. If you really enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe. If you didn't enjoy the video or you have something else to say, then please leave it in the comments below. Oh, and we have started twitching now on streaming on Twitch. Over, so go look for the Re-enthused channel, and if you would give us a follow, that would be amazing. There's a schedule up there on the main page which says when we're certainly gonna try to do streaming. Yeah. We did the first proper one yesterday. It seemed to go pretty well. I quite enjoyed it, which is the important thing, obviously. Right. See you next time.